Hello and welcome to Juan Pilosopo Podcast, the official podcast of the Philippine Atheists and Agnostic Society. This is Doc TP, certified to harden your intellectual resolve. And of course, again, Rat is not here, so I'm here with my other co-host.
Yes, and this time you call me Papa Pete.
Oh, you have a new screen name.
Yeah, Papa Pete. I just got that from our latest podcast from the other group. Yeah, it sounded catchy, so I decided to adopt it instead.
Okay, so Papa Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's start with our Rotten Apple segment. So, what do we have for today?
Yes, here in our Rotten Apple segment, we're going to discuss about latest news articles that we found online. And it happened that we have stumbled upon this article from CNN.com. This kind of happened on a country nearby. Yeah, in fact, a few kilometers from us, this is from Brunei. This is about Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah adopting the Sharia Law. Okay, so the article reads, First East Asian nation adopts Sharia Law. So let me read the article here. Okay, so Brunei has become the first East Asian country to adopt Sharia law, despite widespread condemnation from international human rights groups. The Islamic criminal law is said to include punishments such as flogging, ouch, dismemberment, ouch, and death by stoning for crimes such as rape, adultery, and sodomy. Hey, in the modern context, stoning doesn't sound so bad.
Okay.
Just kidding.
That's a different kind of stoning.
It's a different kind of stoning. All right. So the religious laws will operate alongside with the existing civil penal code. During the ceremony Wednesday morning, the Sultan of Brunei, Hassan al-Bolkiah, announced the commencement of the first phase of the Sharia-based penal code according to the government's official website. The oil-rich kingdom, located in the island of Borneo, which has the population of 412,000 people, the country already follows a more conservative Islamic rule than the neighboring Muslim-dominated countries such as Indonesia and Malaysia, and has implemented strict religiously motivated laws such as banning the sale of alcohol. Okay, so of course we're going to expect a response coming from the international community. So here's the article about the response. In response to the new set of laws, human rights group like Amnesty International said that it will take the country back to the dark ages. The law, makes mockery of the country's international human rights commitments and must be revoked immediately. Amnesty's regional deputy director, Rupert Abbott, said in a statement released after the announcement. Most parts of the new Islamic code will apply to both Muslims and non-Muslims, affecting people from Christian and Buddhist communities. About 70% of people in Brunei are Malay Muslims, and while the remainder of the population are of Chinese and other ethnic descent. The Sultan, who is also the Prime Minister, also announced the law in October 2013. As per its provisions, sexual offenses such as rape, adultery, and sodomy will be considered as punishable acts for Muslims. Consensual sex between homosexuals will also be criminalized. Wow, that kind of sucks for them. With death by stoning, the prescribed punishment. In announcing the implementation of the Sharia law, the government website quoted the Sultan as saying that his government does not expect other people to accept and agree with it. But it would suffice if they would just respect the nation the same way that it also respects them. Okay, that's kind of sound a little bit,
It's like if you don't like it,
then leave. Yeah, it sounds like, if you don't like it, live with it. Yeah, live with it, boy. Alright, so LGBT advocacy groups in Asia have voiced their opposition to Brunei's implementation of Sharia law. According to them, it may open the floodgates of further human rights violation against women, children, and other people on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. Officials from the Asia Pacific Coalition for Male Sexual Health, APCOM, and the Islands of Southeast Asian Network on Male and Transgender Sexual Health said in a joint statement released last week. The United Nations have publicly condemned the move. Under international law, stoning people to death constitutes torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment as was clearly prohibited. Rupert Colville, spokesman for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, said in a press briefing in Geneva last month. So, not to mention there are also provisions against women. Okay, he further expressed concerns about implementations on Sharia's law impact on women. A number of UN studies have revealed that women are more likely to be sentenced to death by stoning due to deeply entrenched discrimination and stereotyping against them. More than 40,000 people have attended the briefing sessions organized by the government in the last 4 months to understand the provisions under the new Islamic criminal law. The country's religious affairs minister said during a ceremony to mark the law's implementation. So
I have seriously some questions about this news. So
seriously.
I have read in here that it said most parts of the new Islamic code will apply to both Muslims and non-Muslims. So affecting people from the Christian and Buddhist communities, which comprise of the other groups of religious groups in the country. So I don't know. I think what we can only do now is just speculate, right, of why this law came to be or how it will affect Brunei, the country. How do you think will this affect?
Well, historically, being a history major. So historically, Brunei has always been and the rest of the Malayan archipelago, that includes Indonesia, of course, have been a predominantly Muslim country even before the Spanish had came to our country. So it's no wonder that they would agree or they would adopt to such measures or to such laws that easily. Okay, considering that Sharia law is considered as a norm among majority of conservative Muslims, right? So even in non-conservative Muslim areas, it's being considered as a law. Take this for example. There was this event or there was this incident when one of our friends from another trolling group, probably you're referring to what I'm
other group,
the patas unwanted child. No, you will shout out to all tapas people. You will always be wanted. You're one of my homies. Well, anyway, as I was saying, there was one of our members there who got harassed by Muslims in the East End area in London. Okay, because in East End, most of the people there are mostly are immigrants, to be exact, Muslim immigrants. One time she got drunk, of course, and then she acted wild on the streets, and she got harassed by this group of Muslims who wanted to implement the Sharia law. Okay, so it's an ongoing debate in London whether
anyway, if they want to implement Sharia law, what did they plan to do with her?
Well, probably to stone her. Because
really, on the street?
Yeah. A girl getting drunk on the streets, But here's the catch, and she's a non-Muslim. How come? So my thought on this one is, why would they implement this law, their law, which applies definitely on their religion, on the people who belong to their religion, on a non-Muslim? This kind of, forgive me for my term, but this kind of sounds like a douchebag move in their part. I mean, come on. She doesn't believe on the prophet or whatsoever. She doesn't even have an idea that it's prohibited in your law, and yet.
Well, but the thing is, with some close-minded people, if they believe that this thing is, that what they're doing is right, they don't really care if the other person will, they would always assume that what they're thinking is right for everyone. So regardless if the other person is a Muslim or not, that's what they think. The one they're thinking is right. So they wouldn't really consider anything else. I think that's why they wanted to have it applied.
On the mind of a religious, they wouldn't stop until everybody bends a knee to their belief, something like that.
Let's not generalize, but I think in that case, I think the reason why they wanted to implement the Sharia law on that person they saw on the streets who was drunk and being wild, because in their perception, and perhaps they have grown accustomed to such practice and to such laws, so they already think na that is what is right, so that's what they should do, regardless of their environment, their new location, and not even considering that they're also with other people who are not accustomed to their practice or to their laws.
Yeah, well, that could be one thing, all right?
Yeah,
but
that could be one reason.
Yes, but I like it. But as they say, it's the ruling party here. It's the will of the ruling class in this country. So sad to say, although as much as we want to oppose to that one, yeah, I guess the people at Brunei call me insensitive, have to suck up with that law or suck it up, because it's the will of the ruling party. Although what we could do here in our end is, of course, to express what our
opinions are,
against it, or our what do you call that? What's the term? Our indignation, our indignation against implementing such inhumane and obviously outdated law, which obviously does not apply or does not fit to our modern 21st century morals and ethics. Kind of sucks, right?
But aren't they covered by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
They should be.
It is universal.
Yes. No, universal in the sense
it's not outside of this universal.
Universal in the sense that whoever the countries that are signatories to that declaration should abide to it. So happened that Brunei is one of the signatories, so they should abide to it. The thing is, here's the problem with UN. Okay, the problem with UN is they could not heavily-handed implement this declaration unless with the consensus of other countries.
Other countries who are signatories of the declaration. If for example, they would agree to impose an embargo on Brunei, knowing that Brunei's economy lies solely or lies majorly on its oil exports. Say UN would impose an embargo on importing or buying oil from Brunei. I say it could be like it could be an effective way of making the Sultan change his mind to recanting that his decision to implement the Sharia law. But you know what? Practicality-wise, I doubt that it would happen. I highly doubt it would happen. Why? Why do you think so?
Economics-wise, we need oil. Lots of countries need oil. Not only coming from Middle East, coming from other countries, Venezuela, from Brunei. So, if you need oil, would you piss off your supplier? I don't think.
So not. I think in this situation,
pragmatism comes in. Yeah, it's
and that we are not in the bargaining end.
I hate to say it. In this point, idealism have to take a back seat and have to give way for pragmatism. I mean, countries need to be practical. This country is supplying their oil. Without this country, how will they run? Right? Like for example, our country. How the heck are we going to run without oil coming from other countries? We don't have natural oil sources here in our country. So, come on. If, for example, we would join the embargo, imposing the embargo into that country, where the hell are we going to get our oil? Probably we're going to get it from Middle East, but it's going to be more expensive. It's going to wreak havoc to our economy. So yeah. So in other words, I'm just assuming. I'm just saying that they have chosen it, but but you know what the countries have, different countries of UN have shown that this is nothing but practicality have taken over, idealism or over what is supposed to happen. Yeah. So in this case, I'm afraid UN have become another like a paper tiger. Paper tiger meaning it would just try to scare you without any real action. Yeah.
Yeah, and what about this one? Consensual sex between homosexuals will also be criminalized with death by stoning as a prescribed punishment.
Whoa.
Well, first question, how will you monitor homosexual activity?
Whoa. Yeah, that's kind of thing. Does
it also go the same as for rape cases wherein you have to present witnesses?
Yeah, true.
Witnesses.
In Sharia law, if you're a woman and you get raped, your case won't even be considered if you present 4 male witnesses. No. Let me rephrase that. 4 pious male Muslim witnesses.
But rape happens when you're alone. You're alone with the attacker.
That's why if you're gonna read the last part of the article, this Sharia law severely discriminates women in the sense that it degrades women when it comes to the representation of the law, right? Like you need 4 witnesses. You need 4 witnesses for your testimony to gain weight in the law, in the court. Sorry, yeah. So what if you don't have 4 witnesses? What if it happens in private? Right? Most rape cases happens in private. Well, it's it's not like that when you get raped there are like instantly 4 people that's gonna watching you like, oh my god, there's gonna rape happening. I'm gonna report this. Like it does not happen. It's very by the provision itself, it heavily
it's almost next to impossible.
Yeah, it heavily does not favor women. It puts the favor against women. That's why, if you're going to notice in the last article, it heavily discriminates women. Yeah, that's what. If you're going to, there is also a statistic that had been.
And also, how can they prove, like for this example, consensual sex between homosexuals? How can they prove homosexual activity occurred?
True. Yeah, that's true. Unless, of course, there's.
Are they also gonna present 4 witnesses?
As far as I know, they always extract those cases, or they always try those cases by confession, and usually those confessions are extracted under duress. Yeah, they extract it under duress, or under torture, or under severe stress. I don't know what stress they put that person to, but you know what I mean. Yes. But going back there, as an addition to that Sharia law about rape, about women, right? Say if, for example, you got just an example, right? You got raped, right? You're unable to produce 4 witnesses who would testify to prove that you have been raped. You know what will happen to you?
They're gonna flog you.
They're gonna that's wrong for you if they're gonna flog you, but they might even stone you.
Okay.
For being forgive me for the term again. Okay, forgive me for my French, for being a slut.
Okay.
Yeah, forgive me for my French, listeners. Yes, but that's the best way how I put it. They're gonna flog you for being a slut by being raped, which is kind of sucks, right?
Not really just sucks. It's just so unfair.
Really unfair for women. Yeah, that's why I stated there. Yes. Women.
So they should have included here criminalizing being a slut. Because that was a criminal activity.
Yes, it's considered as a criminal activity. It is as if that women are not to be touched. It is as if that women are, in Muslim law, is it as if women is the source of the sin. That's why women have to wear the hijab, or burqa, whatever they call that in the respective country, in order to prevent men from sinning by seeing them. Kind of sucks, right?
So totally unfair.
Yeah, so totally unfair. So shall we wrap this article up? So
I'm not really sure what we can do about this because. I mean, this
has been implemented.
Yeah.
It's gonna be implemented. But what we can say is, Sharia law in my take on this one, in our modern world, Sharia law has no place.
Yeah, of
Has
course.
no place. It's barbaric. It's suited for a 9th or 10th century desert nomadic tribe, community or nation, and it has no place in our modern civilization. How about you, Doc TD?
Okay, so that wraps up the rotten
I mean,
apples.
what's your opinion about that one? You say it's unfair?
Yeah, it is. And actually, I can't really comment further because, first of all, I'm not really well versed in Sharia law, but that's what I've read and heard about it. I'm just gonna watch this closely, and then perhaps in social media, we utilize the power that we have in social media by trying to stir up people and the issue so that it won't be forgotten, and that so that steps could be taken perhaps by those the politicians or the political bodies involved, so that we could do something about this, because this totally against human rights.
Yeah, true. Yes,
Not everything in the Sharia law, right? But the glaring ones are really telling us that a lot of human rights are being violated.
True enough. You could have said it better.
Okay, so we go now. So since there's just the two of us here in our podcast, let's try to parang tone it down lang. Yeah, we could go personal this time and
yeah, sure.
let the listeners know more about us as people.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so since we are a part of an atheist organization in the Philippines, and we all know that Philippines is one of those religiously pervaded countries.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you. We'll just share here our experiences as an atheist here in the country, and also to emphasize why there's a need for an organization of an atheist here in the country.
Well,
Is this just a club? I mean, what are we here for? And then, so let's start maybe with our experiences as an atheist. Have there been any significant events in your life as an atheist that?
sure. Yeah. Okay, I don't mean this to sound like a love advice radio. Sure, pwede rin naman. Okay, so yes, I have
Iinom na ba tayo?
inom na tayo.
Kwentong lasing na.
Kwentong ano na. Kwentong inom na.
Okay, just share your story.
Well, I had this friend who happened to be a very devout religious girl whom I like really much. Okay.
Okay.
Which
Like.
I liked. Yeah, I liked her. Okay. Whom I tried to hide my atheism from her. Okay. Because I know that if she knows that I'm an atheist, and not to mention if my family knows I'm coming from a very deeply religious family, knows that I'm an atheist, it's gonna be trouble. I might risk myself being disowned. I know most of the listeners here would even agree to me that if their parents or your families would know that you're an atheist or something or something of the same vein, you would get disowned or you would suffer discrimination coming from your family. I say discrimination is the least thing that you can have. Disown is the most likely thing that you would experience. So yeah, back to that girl. I told her I'm an atheist. She just kind of, felt disappointed that never expected to hear that from you. I thought that you're coming from a religious family, blah, blah, blah. Other words, I got shoved into the friend zone. You know how how painful it got to be shoved to the friend zone. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a shameless plug in, please watch for our podcast in another trolling group. Shameless plug in is shameless.
Okay.
Okay, how about you, Doc? Doc, have you experienced being discriminated or being looked down upon for your unbelief?
Okay, so I don't think I was exactly discriminated or looked down upon. I think it's more of the encounters I've had before is that more of like misconceptions about atheists. So I'm a very vocal atheist at work. They know I'm an atheist, and I'm not afraid to tell them that I'm one. I even I think in one of my blog posts in my personal blog, I posted about a certain consultant in our hospital who is a born again Christian who kept inviting me to his prayer meetings. Okay, so I was just a first year resident in training in a particular hospital here in Manila. So I don't really have that much power, especially if we're talking about a consultant who's your boss. I think he's also someone who's superior to you. So
I think you mentioned that on one of our group chats before, that seniority, the culture of seniority here among the doctors
in
here in medicine is very, very strong.
Yes.
You have to agree.
So whatever the senior said, or whatever the one who's above you, or whatever he says, even if you know that somehow it's not true or it's incorrect, you just have to abide by it.
Yeah.
Okay. So here comes this consultant who usually makes his rounds, and then when he sees you in the ward, he would invite you to his prayer meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, so at first what I do is I just politely decline. I just tell him I need to do something. We have to prepare for conference, whatever. And then one time I really had to say that I am not religious, and I don't believe in God. Okay, so that's when the flare started firing.
So the reaction is, oh my God! This doctor doesn't believe in God!
Not really. What he said is, I'm going to hell.
like oh my God, Tess. It's like, oh my God, like you are like going to hell.
That's more like a mean girl's way of saying it.
It's like, girl, you are like going to hell because you all need Jesus Christ.
You can't do that.
if you could see how I'm saying it, the way the way the black girls say it, you all need Jesus Christ.
Racist.
Sorry.
No, you can't do it, Papa Pete.
Alright, sorry about
that. Okay, so there he said, I'm going to hell, and it didn't end there, because he would actually send messages to us, the young residents, of verses from the Bible. It could really get annoying, because he would send these messages in the morning, like very early in the morning, the unholy hours of the day. Yeah, around 2 a.m., 3 a.m. he would send it, and I think he owns a lot of phones, or he owns a lot of SIM cards, because he would use different numbers in sending those.
Okay.
And then at the very end of the supposed the biblical verses, he would say, God bless or praise the Lord, something like that. And then when I told him that no, I don't really believe in God, he would send me messages of biblical verses about fools, about the fool.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know that. Only a fool says that there's no God. A fool says that there's no God. Blah blah blah.
And I said in his heart that there is no God, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, and that they would say that I will go to hell. I will not pass my exams. I will not finish my residency. Those things. That's very Christian,
Wait. Is he borderline threatening you to failure, to give you a bad rap or bad evaluation on your residency just because you're an atheist? Or
he didn't really imply that, but I think he was just very reassured in the truth that I will not succeed.
But you didn't feel that he's saying that, oh God damn it, I'm not passing this.
Not really, because he didn't belong in the training committee, so he can't really give me.
He has no say. He has no say on whatever.
Although he can report me
or make a negative evaluation or give you a bad rap, something like that.
Yeah, probably at the workplace. But actually, it didn't really matter, because I have in the workplace they don't really have any problems with my work. So I guess if ever they did have a problem with me, it's just because of my non-belief. But I didn't really feel that way. It's more of aside from that consultant, I think with the other co-residents and other workers in the hospital, they only have these misconceptions that the famous line from one of my co-residents, So, di ka naniniwala sa Diyos. So, wala kang kinakatakutan.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so you're not afraid of anything.
I have to agree. That's the one of
I
them.
have an answer to that. I am afraid of Barney and Sadako.
Okay. No, I have to agree with that kasi that's one of the most common na binabato sa akin of the people who knows that I'm an atheist. So, wala kang pinaniniwalaan. Ano pinaniniwalaan mo? It's as if I need to believe in something or believe in some supernatural being in order to survive or to make it through this world. I mean, is it a requirement for human existence? I don't think so. Right? And, and then, later, I think I'm having reservations to mention it, but I think it's inappropriate at this point to mention it.
Why? Let's try to go back to that later. So, yung mga common na questions sa akin, like, how do you know what is good from bad? You don't believe in God. Parang, what? I don't need, I'm a human being. I have my brain. I'm a rational being. I can logically think. So I can logically determine what is good and what is bad. I don't really need to have a belief in a supernatural being. Okay? So they also asked me if I eat babies. I'm not sure if they were serious in that question, but they did ask me about it.
If you eat babies,
yes. I said, I do. I eat babies for lunch.
You answered them sarcastically, right? Just to humor them.
You want to see my lunch bag?
One of the questions that I get is that, so are you an antichrist? Yeah, probably. I'm an antichrist. So, no. Do you worship Satan? No, I don't even worship Satan. I don't even believe in Satan. How come? I could understand, coming from a deeply Catholic family, if you are really so immersed, or if you really have lived majority of your life in this kind of thinking, it's gonna be hard for you to kick that thinking out of your system. If you encounter someone who's opposed to your thinking, you're gonna do anything to defend it. It's cognitive dissonance, or it's like, if an addiction, it's just like withdrawal symptoms. In a way, I could
So religion can be addictive?
It is, and it could be an addiction. I mean, come on. You have to admit, I have to admit, being a religious, coming from a really deeply religious background, that I spent most of my life, going to church, joining religious organizations and such. When I am in extreme duress, or when I'm in extreme danger, sometimes I would find myself, oh God, what the hell's happening? This is happening. But it's becoming,
More out of habit?
More out of habit, yeah. So I say, whatever is indoctrinated.
Just like those who, just mío.
Just mío. Oh my God. In whatever situation. I wouldn't expand that, but
I know what you're referring to.
If you know what I mean.
I wish you could just flash the meme here.
The meme, the Mr. Bean meme. If you know what I mean.
It's more of
a habit. It became like, if you have watched or if you have read the book by Richard Dawkins, or watched the documentary God Delusion by Richard Dawkins,
yes.
He interviewed this psychologist in UK who specializes in giving therapies to children who have been abused or have went through an abusive childhood under Christian fundamentalist families, because the psychologist herself, she's a woman, grew up in a Christian fundamentalist family. Richard Dawkins even asked through a question to her that said, at this point, do you still believe in hellfire, growing up in a Christian community? Then the psychologist, who's an atheist, suddenly paused and went, you know what? At my age, even I have to admit, the vision of hellfire and torment still somewhat affects me. So it means whatever indoctrination that you receive as a child, that you have been scared to death about hellfire and damnation and whatever you can expect in hell. And if it had been inculcated into you that much, then I say, even as you grow as an adult, it's going to affect you in a way, even you turn into an atheist, no matter how hard you rationalize it.
How about you? Were you able to experience like indoctrination during your childhood?
Yeah.
Like how?
I spent the whole of my primary education in a Catholic school. Isn't that indoctrination enough?
Yeah, then just imagine me. I kindergarten,
yeah.
grade school, high school. I was a catechist. I was a member of a Mother Ignatia Club.
Really?
Yes, I was. I studied in an RVM school, a school run by nuns.
I studied in a Catholic school in our hometown in Langapo City. Well, and of course, I was active in different religious organizations back then. I was member of the youth ministry and Knights of the Altar. You know, the altar boys. Please, no altar boys joke. No, I did not get molested. Okay, I was lucky. I did not get molested. Probably I was not that good looking. Or yeah, well, probably it became an asset that I wasn't that good
I thought you
looking
were
back then.
disappointed.
I wasn't disappointed. I didn't get molested. Come on. Okay, so kidding aside, man. Kidding aside. Yes, there were cases that I was hearing rumors that some altar boys got molested, but those were just hearsays. I wasn't able. I didn't stick long enough to prove them. Anyway, so I was very active in different religious organizations, and we even participate in passion plays. You know, during Holy Week, you know, in the streets, we would reenact what I call them today as an atheist. I call them the Jesus Christ Passion cosplay.
Cosplay.
It's a costume play. Come on, it's a cosplay. They dress up like people.
So when did you come out as an atheist?
I became an atheist when I studied in UP.
College days.
Yes.
Freedom.
Yes, it's freedom. When I started reading about Marx, I started first as a Marxist, and then from there, because being a hardcore Catholic, I tried to reconcile my Marxist beliefs with my religious upbringing. So I tried to experiment with liberation theology. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Probably I'm gonna
Not so much.
no, probably after this or later when I'm gonna.
Maybe you could write an article.
I can write an article about liberation theology, and I'll post it on the forum and on our website. Liberation theology. The liberation theology is like the combination, or it's like the Marxist interpretation of Christianity. They glorify Jesus as some sort of revolutionary liberator who wanted to liberate the oppressed class back then. Because we can see in the Bible, Jesus usually hangs out with the working class or with the oppressed class. But anyway, we're being sidetracked with that. I guess we're being derailed. So going back there, so I tried to reconcile it by striving to liberation theology, but that didn't seem to work.
Did you experience discrimination from your college friends?
No, it's UP.
Okay.
It's UP. It's UP.
Yeah, same with me. I went to LaSalle, Manila for college, for my undergrad studies. And although LaSalle is run by the LaSalle brothers, I think compared to the other institutions that are run by religious institutions, LaSalle is a bit more liberated in such a way that college is the start of freedom for me. Although in high school back then I was already having skepticism, doubts in my mind, because in college I was able to thoroughly explore other religion. I read about a lot of religions and even Wicca, and then I got exposed to different people with different perspectives. So, and that's when I decided that I'm an atheist. So that I was around maybe 16 or 17 years old back then, and it's a good place to come out because there are some religious people there, but they don't really care if you have a differing belief or non-belief for that matter. And there are some books I think that I found in the library about atheism, but these are just like 3 or 4 books in the library that I think maybe they thought it's religious in nature because it has God in it, or but it's actually about atheism and skepticism. So and then I felt it more about the discrimination part in med school. Ironically, because I took my medical degree, I finished my medical degree in one of the Royal Pontifical University.
Oh yeah, is it somewhere in España, somewhere in Sampaloc? You know, the one that they call as Oceanarium during rainy days. Yes, probably you know what I mean. You know, the Oceanarium, they got like fishes and they got even turtles swimming in there.
In our batch there, we were only just 2 atheists out. Vocal atheists in the batch. And I was during my entrance interview, I indicated in my form regarding religion. So you're usually being asked about religion, right? In form. So I put there none.
Okay.
So the interviewers are curious about me because I came from Catholic schools, like from grade school and high school, and then I came from LaSalle for my undergrad.
Yes.
And then it says there that I don't have any religion, so they asked me about it. So I was quite frank that I came out as an atheist during my college days, and then they said, "You're fully aware that this is a Catholic institution." I answered them that I'm very much aware that this is a Catholic institution run by the Dominicans. There, now you know the school. And I came here for the education. And I know this one of the schools who offer premier education on medicine, medical field. So that's why I came here, and I fully abide by whatever rules that I need to follow. So knowing full well that this is a Catholic institution. So I got in. I think they're really cool people. I think they did not really discriminate me that much. They were just perhaps curious about me. Maybe they don't really encounter that many atheists at all.
Probably not really, because back when I was probably if you have been listening to our previous podcasts, or if you have been listening to the podcast on that other troll group, which I am the host, yours truly, right? Probably it's no surprise to you that I'm, used to be a former teacher in a Catholic school. Yeah, used to be a high school teacher in a Catholic school. So back when I was teaching, I was already an atheist, albeit a closet atheist. I wouldn't dare let them know about my atheism, because once they know, of course, that's gonna risk my employment. I'm working in Catholic. Yeah, true. It's gonna risk my employment. It's gonna risk my bread and butter. So here comes the time when I need to take a stand or take a choice between what is practical and what is ideal. Here comes this, the RH bill.
Yes.
Right? Most Catholic schools, the teachers in there are being, how do you say it? Indoctrinated? Yeah, probably indoctrinated is a much strong word. Indoctrinated against, to support against the
law.
Against the law.
It was a bill at that time.
Yeah, it was kind of like a bill at that time, But so I was really pro-choice back then. All right.
How long ago was that? So
it was like 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
It was like 4 years ago, right? So it was 4 years ago. I was very vocal against it. And every time that there's a symposium, every time that there's a symposium with a bishop or with a clergyman discussing about the RH law, I would try my best not to attend to it, just to be polite. If you know what I mean.
Yes.
Because if I would attend to it, probably it's gonna escalate to a 2-hour, 3-hour debate, which I don't want to happen. Just to be polite, I wouldn't attend. Okay. So usually that's what I do. Back then when I was a high school teacher. Because of, eventually it did not become a a secret among the faculty that I am very much for the RH law. Okay, so I began to experience what do you call that? Pressure.
Okay.
Being the OIC head of the Social Studies department back then, all right. Every time we're gonna make every time that we're gonna make a program or like a contest or something like that for our department, it takes a longer while, or it takes a little longer for it to get approved from the higher ups compared to other departments from science, math, and PE.
Yeah, I've heard some of the members in the Patas Forum also experiencing similar situation like that of yours. So, kasi marami tayo sa forum na who are also teachers in Catholic institutions or even Christian institutions.
Yeah. And even in our is it being obvious that I am keeping on shamelessly plugging our little unwanted child?
Sisingilin ako ito ng advertisement fee
May advertisement fee ba yan? We have lots of teachers and educators in our forum. Some of them are currently teaching in Catholic institutions, only that they would keep mum or they would keep silent about their atheism. Lest they would risk their employment. Yes, probably wala pa silang kapit sa mga public school, kaya ganun. We have to admit, kasi if you're gonna go for a public school, kasi listeners would say that, if you are an atheist and you're teaching in a Catholic school, ba't di ka nalang mag-public, di ba? I would say, mahirap pumasok sa public.
Yes.
It's politics. Politika yan. Sadly, it's politics. Mapolitika nga na pagpasok. Makakuha ng items sa public school.
And we're talking about yung discrimination in the workplace.
Yeah.
Now, we also need to consider, I think we had it better pa nga kasi compared to our younger atheists who are also in the forum, who get to experience yung worst kind of discrimination, being disowned by family members.
Yes, true.
Getting it really hard from their own loved ones.
Yes, true. Being a volunteer moderator of the Patas forums, every night before I sleep, I try to sweep the forums for any undesirable post. I usually come across this type of confessions. They have been disowned by their parents, or they have been forced by their parents to go to church, or they had been nakipag-break up yung girlfriend nila dahil sa kanilang paniniwala. Di ba? Yun ang pinakamasakit.
Balik na naman tayo sa usapang
pinaguhugutan. Anyway.
So I think it would also be a good topic for our next podcast. Hereditary religion and atheism in affecting the relationships.
So we shall call that podcast Heart Attack.
And also, since we're announcing it as early as now, we're gonna record it maybe in 2 weeks' time. I think that would give ample time for our listeners to maybe send in their questions or stories so that we could read them out during the podcast recording.
Or mas maganda, I would suggest, di ba? I would probably
live call.
Not live call, live thread. Live thread. We did that before in our podcast.
We could use Google or Twitter.
Yeah, or like that. Or probably days before we would make the recording, we would post a thread there, asking you to tell your love stories, in which your atheism have became a factor, and on breaking up with you. So think of us like Papa Jack and and Mama Tess.
OMG.
Papa Jack.
So I'm a mother now. Okay, so we need to wrap this up. So thank you very much for listening to this podcast. So kahit dalawa lang kami ni Papa Pete dito. So so hopefully you can also join in next time. We're gonna post more details regarding the live
chat. Yes. The more the better. Di ba katulad ng nakaraang podcast natin, ilang tayo nun?
Mas marami tayo natin And hopefully, maybe one of these days, I could figure out a way to use the Google Hangouts on air.
Yeah. That's nice. Okay. Or if possible, we could use Skype, to get the opinion of our listeners overseas, mga nasa back in the Middle East or in US or in Europe,
Parang may gusto ko marinig from US,
Hi, Ange.
Yeah, okay, so thank you very much. This is the official podcast of the Philippine Atheists and Agnostic Society, Juan Pilosopo Podcast. Thank you and have a great day.
Have a great day. Take care. Bye.
Please do visit the PATAS website at patas.co. That is patas.co, where you could read more about the organization, articles on religion, atheism, science, and social issues. You may also visit our Facebook forum or follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/PATASofficial. This is the Juan Pilosopo Podcast, the official podcast of the Philippine Atheists and Agnostic Society. Thank you very much and cheers to reason.